Owen, concerning the subject of expanded gambling at the outset, I personally am not in favor of expanded gambling. But we have spent a lot of time on this issue, certainly since I've been in the legislature, and I think prior to that. It's consuming. I think a lot of that discussion and time has been non-productive. We really haven't gone anywhere on that issue. As you know, a session or two ago in the House of Representatives, expanded gaming as far as the allowance of slots at racetracks was approved, but when it went to the Kentucky Senate, it hit the wall. And I don't see particularly any traction currently to pass expanded gaming in the Kentucky General Assembly. But Owen, what I would really like to see is I would like for the General Assembly, 138 members, to allow the citizens of Kentucky to vote on this important issue. And I would love to see it go on the ballot as a constitutional amendment and let the citizens vote. I mean, I have confidence in the citizens of Kentucky to make the decision that's in their best interest and in the interest they think is best to move the state forward on that subject. We need to deal with it one way or the other. We need to either do it and go forward or cast it aside and go on to other issues. Now, we have precedents in Kentucky for doing that. Some people say, well, you all are elected to make those tough decisions, and I agree with that, but I don't think something this significant and this broad that decision should be made by 138 people. We have a history, as you remember back in the late 80s when we passed lottery in Kentucky. That was a referendum. That went on the ballot. The people of Kentucky were allowed to vote up or down on whether they wanted a lottery in Kentucky. The citizens spoke, and we reacted to that. I think that's what's going to happen on this issue, and let people vote their conscience. That's a democratic way. I think that's the most fair way to do it. And then, as I said, we would react. If the citizens said, let's do it, then let's do it in a responsible, fair way. If they say don't, let's quit wasting a lot of capital on it. But other than that, I don't see, unless something changes significantly in the composition of the Kentucky Senate, I don't see it passing in the General Assembly, and I don't think the House of Representatives is going to discuss that issue again until they have absolute certainty that the Kentucky Senate will follow suit.
You mentioned it going to a constitutional amendment. Do you believe that constitutional amendment should restrict, whether it's slots or some sort of expanded gambling, restrict it just to horse track locations, or if it gets to that point, should that amendment open it up for anywhere throughout the state?
Yeah, I think the amendment ought to just speak broadly about expanded gaming in general, whatever form that might take, whether it be some land-based casinos, whether it be at the racetracks. We've even had a lot of discussion about nonprofits, wanting to have it because they use their money for charitable organizations. So I think if we get it to the ballot, that it ought to be, as broad in that scope as possible, and then hopefully impanel a commission that would make those decisions about what type we're going to have and what the revenue split and those kind of things are. Because it can get too complicated on the ballot. Sure. If we don't really narrow the question down. But again, I have real confidence in the voters of Kentucky. They're smart enough to make that decision. I think we ought to allow them to make that decision, and then I think we ought to follow the direction they give us.